my friend, to the Emotional Eats podcast. I'm so glad you're here with me today. In this episode, I'm talking to my really good friend and fellow holistic practitioner, Jacquelyn Lovett. And if you've ever felt dismissed, overlooked, misunderstood with your health, you're not alone. Jacquelyn opens up about her life changing diagnosis with Graves' disease and how she walked away from conventional treatments to heal her body naturally through food, faith, movement, especially dancing, and emotional healing. We also get into the connection between stress, trauma, and autoimmune symptoms and how you can start advocating for your own health today. This conversation is real, it's raw, and it's exactly what you need to hear if you are dealing with autoimmune disease. Jacquelyn brings so much positivity, joy, and wisdom to the show today. So stick around. And if this resonates with you, please make sure you share it with a friend, hit that follow button, and thank you so much for being a part of my community. Let's jump in. Jacquelyn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy. Jacquelyn Lovett. I don't normally say my guest last names usually, but I have to say that because I absolutely adore your last name, Lovett. And you use that as your Instagram handle too, Lovett Natural Health. And it's just really sums you up because you are a friend. I want the listeners to know that you are a friend. We've been EFT practitioners together in our classes together. We've been coached together. But I have so much admiration. I wanted to bring you on because there's a subject that you are really an expert at, and that is Graves. And I would love for you to share just a little bit more about yourself too, because you are a holistic practitioner. But there's certain things that you do. And I also would love for you to just share a little bit about the very beginning. We'll get deep into it, but about when you found out and got diagnosed with Graves.
Okay, thank you so much. And I admire you as well. I'm so happy we could do this. So, as you said, I'm Jacquelyn Lovett, and my Graves' disease, I'll just jump right to that. My journey began in 2018. Well, that's when I received my official diagnosis. But leading up to that, I had signs and symptoms probably for years, and it was just missed. And so in 2018, that's when I became very ill, ended up having to go to the emergency room. While I was there, I was told that I was in the process of possibly having a heart attack. Like, yes, it was that serious. Yes, yes. So, my heart was racing. I had all of the classic symptoms, you name it, I had it. Weight loss, everything that comes with Graves' disease. So I will tell you, Graves' disease, for those that don't know, I know you're aware of it, but those that don't know, it is an autoimmune version of hyperthyroidism. And so, because of that, the thyroid affects the entire body. And so I was told that I was going to have my thyroid removed. I would have to have radioactive iodine treatment. I was also told that I would have to be on about 10 prescription pills per day for the rest of my life. And because of who I am and my holistic journey, sorry, because of the holistic journey that I'm on, um, I knew that wasn't the right way for me. So I got in touch with family, with a very close friend, and they directed me into the way of my holistic practitioner. So that's just a little bit about how it got started.
Cannot believe that you were told that you were having a heart attack. Although I can believe it because we do know that so many things mimic other things. And when we don't know to test or to ask for those tests, sometimes that's really challenging. But I would love to do, let's go back to the very beginning and kind of the umbrella, the thyroid, because one of the things that when women get tested for their thyroid, we both know the only test they really do is a TSH a majority of the time. And just so the listeners are hearing this, the people that I work with, most of them are on the other end, which is hypothyroidism, which can be also moving into Hashimoto's, the autoimmune side of that. So that's why I really wanted to highlight this because women are suffering with Graves' disease. But when you're looking at both ends of this spectrum, I have a feeling some of the things you're going to share today, doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on, we can really help ourselves with the things that you have done. But let's start from the very beginning. What were some of the symptoms that you had? I know you mentioned that you had lost weight right away, and that's an interesting sign. People at first would probably think, "Oh, that's great," but really it's not when it's combined with all the other things. So what are some of the symptoms that you had and maybe others that you know other people have had, even if you didn't have them?
Yes, you are so right. So many people would say, "Oh, you look great." And I'm like, "But I'm wasting away." So I lost weight rapidly. So within a month, I lost over 20 pounds. Like it was just falling off. I also had the heart rate. I would walk from one just maybe a few steps and my heart rate would be over 120. My heart rate would be that high. I had started having problems with my eyes, which is a separate disease, a thyroid eye disease. Right. And so I was diagnosed with that as well. I started the now this may be TMI,
No, not
but
at all. We want to hear it.
yeah, everything I ate literally went through my system. Diarrhea, everything I ate. It would just clear out of my system. My blood sugar was always low because it couldn't stay stable because everything I ate was just going through my body. I went through depression. I stayed in the bed for at least a month. I would just could not get out of the bed. Just I would get up a little while, and then I would be back in the bed. And I didn't work. I had to take off work for about 6 months. My skin, I had eczema problems. My hair was thinning. It didn't fall out. I'm thankful it didn't get to that point because I am also into the natural hair health. But still, my hair changed. My skin changed. Yeah, so I couldn't sleep at night. Insomnia. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And with the heart attack, I didn't have it. I was threatening to have it. That's what they told me at the emergency room. So, and a stroke. They said you could even have a stroke. Like they were really, really pushing, this other way. And I'm not against that at all. If a person needs to take medication, prescription medication, I am here for it because it can be really hard to go the holistic way, but it works. So those are just some of the symptoms.
Those are just some of the symptoms. And you know what's really challenging for us in our 40s, 50s, and 60s is there are so many things that could be going on with us that
Mm-hmm,
have to do with symptoms that are very similar, whether it
mm-hmm,
is the thyroid issues, perimenopause, even things happening in postmenopause. I remember I had the heart palpitations during perimenopause. And I am on the opposite end. I'm hypothyroid
mm-hmm,
and it was doing all the things, but I think I kind of basically wore it out. But some of my symptoms were similar, like
mm-hmm,
like I said, the heart palpitation. I had that during perimenopause and when I found out I had thyroid issues. So we have a lot as women that we really have to go down the road of really checking everything. So the first thing I'd love to ask you is why is the thyroid so important in our body?
Well, as we know, this is Heart Health Awareness Month. And that thyroid, that small little butterfly in our neck, can control so many of our hormones. It can affect our heart. So that's why it's so important. It's a hormone, it controls our hormones. And like you said, menopause and the perimenopause, postmenopause, just going through all of that. If your thyroid is not in check or the levels aren't correct during that time of going through menopause, it definitely affects it worse. Yes. It also controls our body temperature as well. I forgot to mention that. I'm hyper, Graves' disease, hyper, and I was always hot, still am sometimes, but just I will run a low grade fever. So that's why it's so important. Like, it can they always say that the thyroid disease itself may not mm, kill a person, cause a person to die, but the symptoms can. Heart attack, stroke, it can lead to that if it's not, where it should be. So it's very important.
It's very important. Thank you for
Hmm.
clarifying that. And it's interesting because, again, I'm always comparing to hypo. I'm always on the cold side until I'm leveled out. So, when we talk about testing, because I think it's so important, you're such a good advocate for women to really get in and get what they need. Do you think testing is literally the first place we need to be to just find out where we are? And if that's the case, since we both know just primaries will check the TSH, what do we really need to be testing for?
We need to do a full thyroid panel, because like you mentioned, TSH, they did that for years. But the day that I went in really sick, my primary physician, who was awesome at the time, she said, you need a full thyroid panel. Like when I walked in, I had a goiter on my neck and I was really, really thin. And so my neck really stood out. And she said, we need to do a full panel. Now, I had never heard of a full panel. And I will say, my mother, my birth mother, before she passed away, she had thyroid cancer. But back then, they weren't talking about it. So it made sense. Like I saw myself, I could see her in me. But definitely get tested. The T3, T4, it's a lot that goes with that thyroid, not just the TSH. Yes.
Yes,
So a full panel.
I
Hmm.
love that. And I'm very blessed because being postmenopausal and already having my estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone tested all the time, my hormone specialist only tests full panel when she does thyroid. She doesn't even just do the
Great.
TSH. And it's really, really helpful.
Hmm.
And I'm really, really interested in your journey also from finding out that this is happening. Okay, surgery's on the table, medications for the rest of your life are on the table, and you've already come from a holistic background. So, was there any fear in not going the conventional medicine way? And how did you make the decision? Or did you say, hey, I'm just going to try the holistic first, then that will be a backup? How did you get through that decision? Because I think so many women,
Hmm.
understandably, we just trust what we hear. We don't hear a
Hmm.
second opinion. We just go with it. And I was just going to school for integrative nutrition and coaching. So I was right at the beginning. So I just said yes.
Yeah.
Did what I could do for 4 or 5 months. And again, not full panel, my TSH kept going up. And so I eventually gave in to the medicine before I knew what I know now. So tell me
Mm-hmm.
your journey in that part of it.
So I ended up, when I was told all these things, so I went to my primary care doctor. She had to refer me out to an endocrinologist. And when I went to the endocrinologist, they're the ones that told me all of what I would need to do and she only met me one time, by the way. I had just met her and she looked at me and she was like, oh, you're in a storm, a thyroid storm. When I tell you that gaslighting was real, that medical gaslighting was real. And for her, it was like the way she spoke to me, like, oh, you're going to have to do this and this and this. I was scared. I am not going to lie. And the reason why I was scared is because I was a new grandmother, I was a mother and a wife, and so much more. I had my business to run. I'm like, if I do not take this treatment, what could happen to me? But then I started researching because I've always loved to read. Used to get the little Pizza Hut bucket coupons in school. Yes, I always loved to read.
I love that.
Yes. So because of that, I was like, let me start researching and let me talk to people. Let people know what I'm going through. So I let close friends and family know. And so, like I said, I was scared, but then it came back to me because of the family I came from on both sides of my family. My mother's parents, my dad's parents, they had farms. They were holistic, and I said, it's in me. I know I
Yes.
can do this. Yes. So, because I believe I have my faith. So that's where I turn first. And then the rest is history. I still have my thyroid. I still have my thyroid. I'm not currently on any medication, prescribed medications from the doctor other than for my asthma. I do take something for asthma. Um, but it's a lifestyle change though. I will say that. I couldn't just go grab something off the shelf and just take one herb and think, oh, that's going to work. No, I have had to change my life. I am not who I used to be, and I'm happy about it.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
what I want to get into. This is
Mhm.
great. First of all, thank you for bringing faith into it because there's such power in prayer and there's such power in having faith that we are going to work through. And sometimes it's not always our timing or as fast as we would like it to be, but
Mhm.
it certainly is something that the answers come to us the more we put out there what we're looking for. And I love that you reached out to friends and family and really communicated what you're going through. And I think that right there, two things that have come up that I think you've already given a tip on that you didn't even realize is one,
Mhm.
when you're listening to the doctors, to understand that you can advocate for yourself and do more research, find out more, communicate with others. Women love to help women.
Mhm.
Everyone loves to help when they know something or they know someone who's been going through it. And I would
Mhm.
love to know because autoimmune, there's so many different things and reasons why autoimmune happens. And we know that it can go pretty deep. It's not just a genetic thing, it's not just something that happens to one person. So many people are
Mhm.
having different versions of autoimmune. So before we get into the changes, what do you think? And again, this is okay to be, just your opinion, Jacquelyn. What are
Mhm.
some of the reasons that you think that people develop these autoimmune disorders, whether it's Graves or hypo, we know where Lyme may possibly come from, but also lupus and all of these different, there's lists and lists, Sjogren's.
Mhm.
What do you think is going on with people's bodies?
Mhm. Inflammation, stress, the foods that we eat, how we manage stress, holding on to trauma. Um, the trauma that we go through, it has to go somewhere. We have to get it out. And when we don't, it literally can, and I've seen this. This is just not me just saying this. I've seen this with clients. I've seen it even with myself. We'll start developing maybe spots on our body. It could be tension because you may go and get a massage and they're like, oh, you're really tense right there. But those muscles and everything, everything needs to be let out of our body. So what goes in must come out. If not, it is going to eventually make us sick. And so the trauma, the stress, and that is one of the things that my holistic doctor told me when I went to him because I was eating fairly healthy. I was exercising all the time. Like I've been dancing since I was a little girl, probably in the womb. But that wasn't the problem. The problem, he asked me, he said, how's your stress? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm fine. I'm dealing with it. He's like, how are you dealing with it though? So this was almost 7 years ago. How do you deal with this, that, and the other? And I thought I was okay. But I really think that like stress is like up there with making us really sick. Like you said, the autoimmune, we all, with these different autoimmune diseases, they have so much in common. Like you mentioned, you have hypothyroidism, I have hyper, but it's so many things we have in common with our illnesses. The same way with arthritis. And one of the biggest things I'm hearing, inflammation, inflammation. Every time we're going to the doctor, inflammation. And I think that's good that they're starting to talk about it. But
I
yeah, I know I just said a lot. I think.
I think that's true though. And you and
Mhm.
I have another common bond with our EFT tapping class. So we
Mhm.
both are really have dug deep, deep in this. And for the
Mhm.
listeners, one of the exercises that we had to go through was taking traumas from birth, pre-birth, all the way through. And so someone listening is going to be thinking, how in the world would you know what your trauma was, before you were born? But I'll give you a good example is my mom was pregnant with me before my parents got married. So there was stress. My dad
Yes.
had to go to Vietnam. There's stress right
Mhm.
there. So there was stress around me. And then when I look at other mini traumas, and I say mini because nothing stood out to me. When someone would say you need to tap on your traumas, I would think, I didn't have
Mhm.
any big trauma. I've been really lucky. But then when I actually went year by year in my life, there is so much there that also affects not only my body, and I hang on to it in my body, but my limiting beliefs. So
Mhm.
that is kind of a cool thing. We're going to talk about some of those methods, but I really would love to go back because you have brought up this lifestyle, and let's start with food. If
Mhm.
you could wave a magic wand and have everybody eat in a certain way to reduce this inflammation that you're talking about to help, beyond, we know healing trauma, that's another inner work that has to be done, managing stress. But let's start with the physical things that people could start at the grocery store today.
Right, right. I would say um, add more plants. I do not like to tell people what not to eat, but I like to encourage you as to what you should add to your diet. So I say eat more plants. Add your beans, your frijoles, add your cruciferous foods if you can tolerate that. So your greens, your beans, healthy fruits. That's what I tell people, add more plants because I noticed when I did that, I started craving the other things less. So if I'm having a sweet craving, it was like, what's in season right now? Watermelon, pineapple, what's really sweet right now? And I started eating more of that. And it's like, oh, I don't want the other stuff as much. So yes, I would say if you're at the grocery store, add more plants. Everyone doesn't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. I am not against canned food. Just rinse it off really well. I do encourage that. Buy the ones that have less sodium, or no sodium, because some don't have any sodium. Like you have your canned beans, no sodium. Go ahead and get it, but make sure you rinse them off. That's the only thing I say. But I am not a food snob when it comes to fresh, frozen, or canned.
I love that. I am
Mhm.
not a food snob. And you know what? That makes the barrier to entry to eating more plants much lower than if you say you've got to go run out and get organic. And even if you're not getting organic, one of the things I'm having clients do now is just rinse them and soak them in vinegar water with a little
Yes.
lime or something, and frozen food, frozen broccoli. I used to be a frozen food snob, and what I realized is frozen food, berries, cruciferous vegetables, any vegetables are frozen at their peak when they're ripe and full of the most nutrition. So that's great. You can always have
Mhm.
them in your freezer and the can. Thank you for reminding us to rinse the canned food too. I
Mhm.
appreciate
Mhm.
that. I know a lot of people are worried about the linings of the can, but again, right now, and toxins are an issue, but
Mhm.
really right now that barrier to entry to get those plants in is, I love that. You just lowered it for
Yeah.
all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Because
what
food. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was about to say because food deserts exist. People are struggling to get to the closest market or whatever. Everyone can't grow. They're not confident enough to grow a garden because I say anyone can garden. You can garden in your house if you need to, but everybody doesn't have that confidence. So the food deserts are out there, and just take that pressure off of ourselves. I'm like, look, a can of beans, rinsed off really well, is still healthier than some of the other things that are out there.
Yes, yes. So when I go into Costco, I think that I look at all the different frozen foods, and I'm not picking at people who treat themselves to some of these things, but when it's an ongoing basis of hot pockets and processed tacos that they can pop in the
Mhm.
microwave and breakfast sandwiches. We have even in the dollar store, a bunch of canned vegetables. So thank you. You just really opened the door for a lot of people there. What about toxins? So now that we're talking about that, what do you think is going on in our world that might also contribute to autoimmune in this toxic space? Because we're always hearing that. Is that affecting our thyroid also?
Yeah, yeah, the pollution. I mean, it's bad. It's it's just bad, and we want to fix it. I mean, we do what we can, but I'm gonna go. Let me get to the toxin part of it. Like say for instance, recently, well, within the last year, I no longer use deodorant from the store. I make my own, and it is not expensive. And I use a lime. People are like, lime. I'm like, I haven't had any complaints yet. So far, my family is saying I'm good, and they are very honest with me. But those type of things, and I think we just need to read labels, because here in where we live locally in our country, some things are allowed in that aren't allowed in other countries. So we do the best we can, read the labels. Unfortunately, it's in the air we breathe, but I think if we can eliminate some of the things, it does make a difference. I do think so. So, like we say, what do we use in our homes to clean our homes with? It doesn't have to be expensive. We have vinegar, we have baking soda. Like you said, Costco, you can grab those in bulk and you can do a lot with vinegar and baking soda for your body as well as your home. So just simple things like that. We can't get rid of all of it, but I do think that we can eliminate a lot of those things for our person, for ourselves.
Yes. And it's interesting you said that because I did exactly that. I bought the hugest container of white vinegar that I could possibly get. And that gets used on so many different things. But it's interesting if you're willing to spend the money. Let's go from one end where we are trying to make sure people know that they can do this without having to spend a lot of money. And vinegar, it was a couple dollars for me to get this
Mm-hmm.
huge thing of vinegar. All the way up to if you're willing to spend the money there, you can really find hair products, lotion, so many things that have no fragrance, parabens, sulfates, and all those chemicals. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a matter of you're sharing this knowledge, which is the most important part, because if you don't know, then you don't know to look for it. And we're just grabbing whatever off the shelf, thinking and trusting. We're trusting people to make products for us. And again, I'm going back to the advocacy. You're teaching us today that we need to do the work and we really need to look at it. But I also hear from you that you're not overwhelming everyone where you have to do everything right now. We're just starting and we're just kind of slowly moving in. So thank you for that compassion because I think we know with working with clients as health coaches that we are running into people who try to do everything all at once. And that's when they fail. So you've just opened that door.
Yeah. Thank you. You too. You you
Thank
you
you.
really just educate us so much. I love it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm excited because I watch you. When we get done, I want everyone to follow Love It Natural Health because I watch you dance and it makes me happy. And it actually makes me want to dance again. And the funny thing is, you don't know this, but you inspired me to do something this year. I try to pick up new things every year. One year, right at the end of last year, I started knitting again. Had to YouTube that because I couldn't remember. I just pick up little things every year. So I got a shuffle dance course. And I have to say, Jacqueline
Mhm.
inspired me to do that because I did want to get back into dancing and I wanted to try something that was really hard for me. But what I love about your dancing, and I'd like you to share how this dancing has helped you through this process. But what I like about yours is it's so free. You don't have to be perfect. If we're doing a Zumba class with you, nobody knows what we're doing. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're going the wrong way, the right way.
Mhm.
So, first, I'd love to know what inspired you to do the Zumba? How has that helped you through your journey? And do you think this is a good stress reliever?
So I'm so happy for you. Also, I'm starting
Thank
a new dance
you.
class. So,
Super
whew,
uncoordinated, but
it doesn't
someday
matter.
it'll get better.
And that's why I love Zumba. Zumba, I was first introduced to in person because I used to do it with my children on the Wii, back when we had the Nintendo Wii.
Yes, I remember
Oh my
that.
goodness. But one of our friends, it's so funny, one of our fellow coaches, she had a challenge going on, Jessica, and with some more of our friends, and this was in 2015, and we found a Groupon for a Zumba class close by. And I got like 5 classes for like it was so cheap. And I got in there in 2015 and I danced, and all of my friends would be like, you should really be an instructor because we call them front row divas. So
Yes.
I changed it. Yeah, I changed it to front row beauty. Because diva can take on a different meaning. And so I would get up there and I just have fun. Sometimes the moves would be wrong. My instructor would laugh and we just had a good time. And then fast forward, I just kept going. From 2015 on, I just kept going to class. And finally, in 2020, I decided to be an instructor. Well, lo and behold, a few months later, the world shut down and I got discouraged, but I didn't give up because that's when we had virtual. And so I've been virtual now for 5 years. I love to dance. When I'm there, I encourage my participants. I say, this is your time. This is our happy time. Start your watches. I always say, start your watches, and this is your time. Just be free. No one is watching but me. If you don't want your camera on, that's fine. But I do teach in person when I can at different events. But yeah, my instructors that I had two really great instructors that started me off, and I just enjoyed them so much, watching them, how much fun they had. They were real people like me. They had life, they had families, but that was their time, that 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour each week. So now I do it way more. I dance every day if I can.
Yes,
Yeah. So
I love those videos. And I really love that progression, and I think that's how our passions come to be. It's really personal experience. And when
mhm.
something lights us up, it's so much fun. We are so much better at it, and we want to share it with other people when we feel really good. Do you feel like that dance really takes down that stress a notch? Like when you walk in, if you've got something going on or if you've got people in your class that are struggling, how are you coming out of that 45
Oh,
minutes?
I'm coming out. I feel like I'm on top. I can handle whatever. Because going in, honestly, I've had class participants. Well, I call them Zumba beauties and Zumba gents. So they have texted me or emailed and they're like, that was just what I needed. I had this, that, and this going on in my life, but this was what I needed to help me get through. So for me personally, it has helped me so much because has been lifing and it will not stop. But in the meantime, I'm like, we're gonna dance through this. We will dance through it. But it uplifts my mood. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, turning that music on and I always choose songs. I was always told by the woman who trained me, the instructor who trained me, she said, choose music that you love. Because if you're just going by just anything, your class will be able to tell. So get something that you love, and then that way you can transfer that energy, that happiness to them. So yeah, it really helps with the stress.
Yes. You
Hmm.
can't do those classes without smiling. I think
Hmm.
the power too of dance, and it reminds me walking is such a low level of this, but it's just as powerful. Some people run and they find that they get in that zone. And I think the dancing part of this is also you're using your coordination, your arms, your legs, your body. You are hearing music. You have to watch. And I think when we have things in the world to process, when we can use all of those parts of our bodies, we really can process emotions and process what's happened during the day. And when you come out of it, you're in such a state. It reminds me of when we finished tapping. We are in this new state. It just changes your state. And so, maybe an easy level for people who aren't ready to just jump in on a class is say, hey, Alexa, play dance music. Or play, just get into Spotify or iTunes and just find a playlist and move. And they always say, dance like no one's watching.
Yes.
I
Oh, I love
love
it.
it. I do too. So, I did want to ask you because we have been sprinkling in this EFT a little bit, but in terms of your clients who are coming to you, and we know that they're holding trauma, we know that they are holding stress, we know that they have never been taught really solid tools. What are some of the things that you're using with your clients in order to help them come back down to square one so they can help make good decisions, they can feel better about themselves, drop those limiting beliefs, get the anxious thoughts out? What are you using?
Man, I love it. So before we even start tapping, because sometimes if we're in the middle of a session and they just can't get past, like you said, it's this limited belief, they just can't get past it. You know, I'm saying it right? Unlimited, no, limiting belief. Yes, limiting. And I'm like, okay, let's just stop for a moment. And then we take deep breaths first. Let's get grounded. Close your eyes if you want, and then we start our tapping. But we take the breath. I like to do the belly breathing, especially because in every field I'm in, because I'm also a doula, so I have to work with moms on that belly breathing, so that they can get through those contractions, get through that birth. And the same way with a trauma that may come up in someone's mind while we're doing our class, our session. Let's stop for a minute and acknowledge the problem first. Yeah. So let's just not push through it. If you want to, let's stop. Let's see what's going on, acknowledge it, and then we tap through it. And it just really, as you and I both know, it is powerful and it's free. Tapping is free.
It is
you
free.
know it's, we don't have to, it doesn't, of course, we being trained, that's different, but I'm saying when we're working with clients, we're not telling them to go out and purchase a product. We're telling them this is part of your session, this is part of what you've already paid for. It's included. It can be free. You can do it out by yourself. You don't have to have anyone in front of you to do it, but it really helps to bring, I just brought my own mood down.
I
I'm really
do.
excited over here.
I took those deep breaths with you just now. And it's true. I love that. And yes, I
Mhm.
love as a doula that you are helping women through those contractions because our breath is everything. And I also really appreciate what you said about, what's going on right now. And if they have to stop and acknowledge what that thought is right there, that's really powerful that you can stop and deal with that belief or that thought. And I love too how you just kind of take them through and say, "Hey, you can take this with you." It's
Mhm.
like having a handout, which I actually, I don't know if you do, but I have a handout for that. And they can take if they forget the spots, but it really doesn't even matter where they tap. And it doesn't even matter the exact words.
Yeah.
So you are powerful. The breath, let's go back to the breath too, because we know how
Mhm.
powerful EFT is. And I'm excited that you share that with your clients. Breath, how do you get someone, what can you help them think about when they're just in the middle of a really stressful situation? They're sitting in the
Mhm.
doctor's office, they're waiting for that person to come in and give them, that diagnosis, that
Yeah.
bad news, or that just, sometimes doctor's offices are very scary, or they're getting ready to have a conversation with someone and they know it's going to maybe not go exactly perfectly. How can you help them control their body through the breath a little bit?
Yeah. So I'll say, okay, can you feel yourself breathe? That means that you are safe. You are safe. I repeat that to them. You are safe in this moment. We don't know what the doctor will say. We have no idea what's to come, but in this moment, you are safe. And I keep repeating that to them. Estás segura. I'm sorry, I have to throw my Spanish in a
Yes.
little bit because I'm working on it.
And I am too, so I love
Yes.
it.
Yes, yes. And then I remind myself that I'm safe. Estoy segura. I have to tell myself that I'm safe. I'm safe. But yes, just live in the moment. And we hear that so much. We hear that so much because we're used to multitasking and, okay, I got to fix this and fix that and fix this. What's happening at this moment? Right now, we're safe. I can breathe. I can feel myself breathing. I'm safe. So yeah, that's what I like to
Yeah.
remind them.
You are safe right here, right now. I
Hmm.
think that is one of the hardest challenges when you're going through things is to be in the present moment because we do conjure up so much in our minds. And in addition to the breathing and the tapping, we are where we are. But even with your dancing, you can't really think about much else when you're trying to figure out what that next move is. And I think that's really powerful. I think it all is therapy. To me, all of those are therapeutical ways for us to get through the stress. But again, like you said, I want to link this all back. Stress leads to inflammation.
Yeah.
And when we're handling that stress, so many other things can go well and we can treat our bodies well. Because when we don't feel well, that's when we do reach for the food. When we're not feeling good, we reach for the comfort food. And I'm excited because I want to know your opinion on this too. Why do you think women don't prioritize themselves enough to do the things that they need to do, especially for self-care? And I'm talking self-care, the deeper things that we've talked about, because we know like not all of us can go have a bubble bath and get a massage. So, why do women not prioritize themselves?
the first thing that came to my mind is, especially 40s and above, if we're in our 40s and older, we weren't taught. We didn't see that. And we just saw the women in our life work so hard for their families, but we didn't see it much because some may have, but a lot of women I've worked with, they haven't seen that. Just as simple as drinking water. Drinking water is self care. And I have heard some say, I may drink a bottle a day, and they're well into their 60s. That's sad. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not their fault. They just didn't know. They don't know. And now they're doing great in that area.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's the number one thing that I have seen and that I've experienced myself. I saw women in my life who just did not take care of themselves, and it's not their fault. They just didn't know any better.
No, it's not their
Yeah.
fault. And I also think
Mhm.
that there might have been an element societally that made it seem shameful to
Mhm.
be taking care of yourself, that it is selfish instead of actually filling your cup so that
Mhm.
you can do all the things you need to do. And I think when we were growing up, I also think women were kind of getting back into the workforce and, more latchkey kids. And we just were in a whole different space. Single moms. We just had a lot. We had a lot where there was no time for our moms to have self care. And it
Yes.
was a little bit more of a struggle. And their moms certainly didn't talk about it. So
Mm-mm.
just like
Mm-mm.
menopause.
Yes, exactly.
I think
Very good
it all
point.
trickles down. I really do believe. So,
Mhm.
Jacqueline, what I would love, we've talked about so much, and so I would love for our listeners to walk away with 2 to 3 things that they can just get started on. And it could be anything you've mentioned already in the episode, or you are also welcome to just, if something has come to your mind that we haven't talked about, and you'd really like to share it, what can we leave the listeners with that they can get started on today?
Okay. All righty. So I think number one, ask yourself, do I really want to change? Do I really want to feel better? And then number two, I would say get a journal or a notebook or something and start documenting whatever it is you want to change. Just start documenting. It can be small. It can be small. And number three, do not compare yourself to other people because none of our journeys are the exact same. None of our lives are the exact same. We have a lot of similarities. But yes, that comparison is a thief. It is a thief of joy. It is a thief of enthusiasm. It's just a thief. So yes, don't compare yourself to others.
Those are great tips. Do I really want to change? Is the first
Mhm.
one. And that is a very powerful question because if
Mhm.
we don't intrinsically want to change, even if somebody tells us we need to, we have to want that. So
Mhm.
amazing. And journaling,
Mhm.
documenting. And I like how you said documenting because when you're documenting, you're not forced to write this amazing essay in your journal. That's what used to hold me back from journaling is instead of just putting words down or just putting thoughts really quickly, I would think I'd have to sit and write like I would see people do. So documenting what you want. And that's not even making you do it yet. That's just getting it out on paper. But your last one is really amazing because everybody's journey is different. And when we look online and we see people, whether they're trying to lose weight or feel better or reduce their diabetes risk, whatever their situation is, we see people in a different chapter than where we are. And often the only ones we notice are the people that are ahead of us in the journey. We don't notice the people behind us, we notice everybody ahead and we compare. And I think that's really powerful because it is a killer of joy for sure. Oh, Jacqueline,
Mhm.
thank you. I have enjoyed this conversation so much, and I love bringing light to Graves' disease, but all of your thoughts, all of the tips that you have shared with us today span across women and the things that they're dealing with. There's no way with these tips you can't improve something in your life and help you be more joyful. I would love for you to share with everyone, first of all, where can we find you? What are your outlets? What are your favorite places to hang out? online.
Mhm. Okay, cool. I've enjoyed this so very much. Thank you for having me. So you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under the name Lovett Natural Health. I'll spell it out. Loveit, the word natural health. So Lovett Natural Health on all of those platforms. I just released my first podcast episode last week. It was a
Woohoo!
trailer. Thank you. And you can find me on Apple Fitness is I mean not Apple Fitness, Apple as well as Spotify. And the name of my series is Holistic Life Diaries. Holistic Life
Great.
Diaries. Yeah. And I also have a website. My website is loveitnaturalhealth.com. So I'm so glad that I was able to do all that. So it'll be, simple.
Yes, it is. I love that. And it's branding, but it's also the truth of what you do. And all of those links for everyone, I'm going to put those in the show notes. So make sure you go there if you did not write that down. And then the last thing I want to talk to you about is something we're both really passionate about is getting women together. So tell us about your community.
Yes. So my community, I do have a holistic, it's called Holistic Love for Health, and that's going to be on my website as well. But it's my group coaching program. And we also, if you want to join in our Zumba classes, come on. But if not, no pressure. But we focus on topics surrounding women's health and so many different topics. But I share during that group, said those group sessions, we talk about tips and we try to meet 1 to 2 times per month. And then we just in constant communication with each other throughout the month. So it's been going great. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. So if you want to join us, come on over. And if you want to do just a free consultation just to see, feel free to click on any of those links and get in touch with me.
That is great. Thank you. You have so many wonderful options for women to really just feel better about themselves and not only feel better, but to actually learn new practices and ways to just feel joyful in life. And I want to say thank you also. This has been so great. I always just feel so much joy when I'm around you, and the energy is so good. So, once again, thank you, Jacquelyn, for being here today.
Yes, thank you. And I enjoy being with you as well. Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
the
And to
hearts came up.
the hearts came up. And for everyone else, nurse your entire life and give yourself grace today.